And of course, that is MJF. What a fucking week this guy has had. It's been hard to keep up with, to be honest with you. Now, I don't normally cover anything that happens inside the ring. The show is specifically targeted to podcasts and interviews and YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. You know, if it's on BTE or the fucking Chris Jericho podcast, that's my territory. If it happens on AEW Dynamite, that's for somebody else to cover. There's already tons of people covering that. But how could you come into a week like this, come off of a week like this, try to do a show recapping the week in professional wrestling and not address fucking MJF's promo on Dynamite? All of this started, as you know, as it's been well documented at this point, that MJF no-showed a meet and greet on Saturday. This was for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view in Las Vegas. And nobody was in on it at that time. It wasn't a work as far as anybody else was aware. Max just no-showed, and people didn't really know anything was going on until he wasn't there. And they started trying to call him. AEW execs were reaching out to him, and he was not answering his phone. And it left a lot of fans hanging at the meet and greet who paid to see MJF. I don't know why you would do such a thing. I'm sure it's a horrible experience, but they were shit out of luck. And then other wrestlers had to cover for them, which messed up their day. So it was a giant inconvenience to the fans, to the AEW office, to the AEW wrestlers themselves, at least a handful of them. So definitely not a work at that point. Then it was reported that Sean Ross Sapp had had acquired proof that there was a plane ticket scheduled for MJF to leave Las Vegas. It was a last minute, possibly a red eye flight out of Vegas before the pay-per-view after the meet and greet. And there were other websites who said that this wasn't the case, that this was just hearsay and that they weren't able to verify that. I know Meltzer and Alvarez over at the Observer were saying that they didn't think that that there was a plane ticket. Sean Ross Sapp insists that there was. Sean Ross Sapp, very credible in wrestling. So I would lean towards, if SRS is saying that there was a flight booked, and I'll get into that clip here in a minute, him kind of elaborating on that. If he says he found it, he found it. So MJF had a flight booked out before the pay-per-view. So this news broke before the event on Sunday. So going into Double or Nothing, nobody knew if MJF was actually going to be there. Of course, he was the first match on the show, on the main card proper. Got a huge rain of boos from the crowd acknowledging that he no-showed by, the smartest crowd in wrestling, the AEW pay-per-view audience. Basically, he showed up, right? So MJF does the match, gets squashed, which I don't think was necessarily because of this whole situation, though it could have been, and it would have been a reasonable response to doing that. But I don't think that was the case. I think if you look at the storyline that was presented for the pay-per-view, just leading up, for the build-up with Wardlow and everything, I think this was the only way that you go. This was the only option to do it. Wardlow wins, LOL, giant squash match. When I went into it, before it even started, even regardless of what MJF was doing, I was thinking MJF needs to get squashed here. And then they were dragging it out, and he was running around, and it was actually better than I thought it would be, because you got to see MJF squirm and try to weasel his way out of things before he got squashed. So I don't think that had anything to do with it. But then we dive into, he gets the 10 power bombs, just gets destroyed, gets stretchered out. And theoretically, that could have written off MJF. But then rumors hit the rumor mill that him and Tony Khan were expected to have a meeting on Monday. Big B coffee, by the way, delicious. They got a $2 iced coffee deal going on right now for the summer. Highly recommend you go get that taken care of. But back to the wrestling. Supposedly there was a meeting on Monday, and whatever the fuck happened in that meeting between Tony Khan and MJF worked out in both of their favors, because they came into Wednesday. MJF was going to speak live. That's how they were promoting. And MJF dropped the promo of a lifetime, the promo of this era. We have not seen a promo in wrestling like this since CM Punk did a pipe bomb promo in Las Vegas 10 years ago. So this was not only the best promo of MJF's career, but this might be the best promo of this era, in the last 10 years. This might be the most significant promo in AEW history. This was insanely good. And people are wondering now. They're concerned, where's the line on this? What's real? What's fake? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it a shoot? Is it a work? Who's in on it? Who's not in on it? All the wrestlers, all the boys right in the back and the dirt sheets and shit, they're all clueless. They have no fucking clue what's going on, other than it's pretty well assumed at this point that this is a work. But don't take my word for it. Listen to this clip. That was a lot of rambling to lead you in, but there's a lot going on here. So I had to catch you up to speed if you weren't already, or just give my 2 cents on what's been going on, because it is my motherfucking show. But check out this clip from Sean Ross Sapp, where he goes into more detail about this situation.
I reported that they were set to have a meeting. At that point, if you even go back and look at the Fightful Select report, I was like, all right, he's still in town? Okay. And I even reported, listen, this part's real, this part's real. I cannot verify from this point forward what is a work, what is a shoot. Tonight, it became very clear to me they're working together, and it's a masterful one. And Tony Khan even said on last week's media call, MJF likes to carry a lot of real-life things into storyline. Mm-hmm. So the storyline even mentions storyline before, which is very taboo, so to speak. However, you'll notice in MJF's promo tonight, he ain't mentioning storyline. He mentioned that he's being Max Friedman.
Yeah.
So I think I've pretty clearly established that from right now. Now, I've not had a Tony Khan and MJF say, oh, it is a work, it's not a work. Haven't had them say that at this point, but come on. From inference, I believe that from this point on, it's a work. And that's, again, my hunch. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But this seemed like a work promo to me.
Yeah, everybody's fucking clueless. Nobody has any idea if this is a work or a shoot, or to what extent it's a work and to what extent it's a shoot. I think most people at this point can agree that it's a work, right? Because it wouldn't have made its way onto live TV if it wasn't a work. I watched I must have watched like the Fight TV version of it or something, because when I watched it, MJF dropped the F-bomb. Fire me, you fucking Mark. He said it. Like, I heard it, and then they cut his mic. I was like, oof, they let that happen on TV with the TV execs in the building? I mean, it wasn't the first time that an F-bomb's been dropped on TV, and it wasn't the first time that an F-bomb's been dropped on AEW TV. South Park's done it before and stuff too. And then I think, Moxley said, shut the fuck up, or, that kind of, or go fuck yourself. So it's been done. So I figured, okay, they got the approval to do this once in a great while if they really need it to bust it out. But apparently it was bleeped for other, because it is on a tape delay too. And that's why, when I heard it, obviously, because all TV does like a 15-second delay or a 30-second delay for just this situation, especially live TV. So it's designed that way. So if somebody does drop an F-bomb or somebody's titty pop out or something like that, they can catch it, blur it, bleep it, whatever the fuck they got to do. But I heard it live, and it added I felt that it added the emphasis to it to me. I think pretty much everything Max is saying is true or was true, but I think for that to make it out on the TV, I think we have reached a point where Tony Khan and MJF have reached some sort of an agreement. I don't know if Max got exactly what he wanted out of it. I don't know that Tony got everything that he wanted out of it, but for now, for the working future here, they have come to some sort of terms, obviously, and they've come to an agreement not only to keep working together, but to take this issue that's been so publicized over the internet and the dirt sheets and the wrestling news media over the last couple weeks, last couple months even, but really escalated in the last week or so here, to take this situation and turn it into a work, right? Take the shoot yourself into a work, as they say, instead of working yourself into a shoot, they shot themselves into a work, and it's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. And there's a lot of wrestlers backstage and executives backstage that are kind of upset about this situation, that they're not in the loop on this, and that, the cardinal sin, you don't work the boys. You never work the boys. You never work the office. Vince used to do it. And so who cares, right? Like when he had ECW sit in the front row and they were going to fuck with the WWE guys, WWE guys were not smartened up to that. Vince wanted the general reaction. And I think there was a little bit of heat from that situation too, because of that. But look, and it's not, I think the Brody Lee situation, Punk's been on record about that, that it was basically his deciding factor to go to AEW, is the fact that the AEW locker room knows how to keep a secret. So maybe they felt insulted that the AEW and MJF didn't trust, Tony and MJF didn't trust anybody else in the company to keep this kind of secret, to not have it leak out that, we're working here. I'm working here. So I'm okay with it, though. Sometimes you need to for the realism. I wouldn't make a habit out of working everybody or pissing people off. But look, not everybody on the roster or in the office is entitled to know what happens in the meeting between MJF and Tony Khan. Creative-wise, they should be smartened up. But at the end of the day, listen to that clip from Sean Ross Sapp. Nobody has a fucking clue what's going on, other than they know just by virtue of this being on TV and the way the promo was structured and everything, that clearly this was allowed to happen, that clearly MJF is still going to be on TV in some capacity, or that they're, because they could have wrote him off after Wardlow. So the fact that, hey, go out there and say everything that the internet thinks that you want to say, it's just beautiful. And the way other people are reacting, I get it. Feelings are hurt, whatever, butt hurt, fine. But it's making for a better promo. It's making for a better angle. And it's better when people don't know. I would like to see that nobody has a clue on MJF's status, that everybody in the building sees MJF barely there. He walks in, he walks out. I like that kind of shit too. How he showed up just before the pay-per-view apparently with Wardlow and then left right after his match with Wardlow. Keep doing that kind of shit. Don't smarten anybody else up, because there's a lot of stooges backstage in the locker room that love to talk to the dirt sheets. So yeah, they can keep a secret, but Brody's was a health reason. All it takes is for one person to kind of wink and nod to like a Sean Ross Sapp and be like, yeah, it's a work. He doesn't need to elaborate or stooge anybody off, but he can just go, give him the old winky face. It's a work. But we don't know. I mean, obviously we know it's a work. We can tell. You can tell by the way that everything's doing, but it's masterful. I'm excited to see where it goes. Actually, in my next segment, I'll get into a little bit more of where I'd like to see this MJF angle go as it kind of bleeds into the next story. But for now, like I just thought this was a hell of a promo. You know, if they're able to get on working terms and they're able to spin this into an angle, it's going to be a hot angle. It is a hot angle. It's all anybody's talking about. That crowd was fire in LA, and MJF has never been hotter in the business. This is his hottest run right now. He's in it. He's on it. His name is on everybody's lips. And good for Max. Good for this whole situation. And then the things he said or whatever, like this is just all the stuff that the internet says, you know, Tony Khan's a mark or whatever. All this is good shit. It's all great because it's what the internet thinks that MJF would say if he was mad. And it probably is to a certain extent the stuff he would say. But in my opinion, it's all good shit. It's heading in a great direction. I'm excited for it. I like this angle. And when I do get into the next topic here, I will have just a little bit more on MJF as far as where I'd like to see things go. But if you're only listening to this clip, you know, I think he's bound for the championship. I think putting him in the championship picture is the right way to go here, especially with Punk injured. And that's going to kind of bleed into the next topic. So enough of that shit for now. I'm sure MJF will give us plenty more to talk about. But until then, on to the next. Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.